Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, no rants today. Just going to shoot straight through. I'm starting late. I went to Silver Dollar City this weekend with Mom. I'm still recovering. My legs still hurt. So no tea, no nothing. Just we're going to shoot straight through this, all right? Okay, before we get started into disclaimers, remember we are reading the assessment done by Dr. Fredda that was done back in 1999. In the description box, folks, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they've threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there the link to the Agape boarding school situation, now known as Stone for Help boarding school, a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens, that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and folks, that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor, still on the premises, full access to the boys upon multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault with the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after, lying about, and creating photoshops of drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries than to do, his job and actually protect the kids here. And you, Governor, send help. Just send help, all right? Read that article. Share it on all your social media. We also have included in there, as always, the link to this particular assessment here, as well as Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, and the ever-present self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. For those of you who are new to this website and have no idea what I'm talking about in reference to the Judge Rotenberg Center, or why I'm making these particular videos, please go to the description box. It is a guide that I have created that continues to grow, much like Lydia Brown's archive, that includes the videos that will kind of give you a brief on what it is that the Judge Rotenberg Center does. If you want to watch the other videos, which I hope you do, please do so, but I understand if you can't get them all. At this point, we've done hundreds of videos since the D.C. Circuit Court overturned the GED ban back in 2021. Pace yourself, folks. Pace yourself, all right? All right. This channel... Sorry, lost my train of thought, folks, since I interrupt my usual disclaimers. If you do have young children present while you watch these videos, folks, use your headphones. Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they're watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised, all right? Now, I just kind of want to show off this shirt. For those who watch me on the channel, You know that one of our rides, Fire in a Hole, that's been around since 1972 at Silver Dollar City, and was in fact the very first ride I ever rode there when I was only 3 years old, is going the way of the dodo after this year. So I had to do a thing. I had to do a thing when I went down there. And Fire in the Hole. The last ride, 1972. I had to do the thing. It was expensive, but I had to do the thing, and I just wanted to show it off. Look up Silver Dollar City, folks, in particular Fire in the Hole, because we have more than one, a lot of urban myths when it comes to that ride, all right? Indulge yourselves in your weird curiosity, I do. All right, let's go to where we left off last video. There are many side effects of punishment. The side effects of punishment often have considerably greater behavioral significance than the hoped-for main effects of the suppression of behavior. Yet punishment and other forms of coercion have continued to be used without adequate testing. Sidman, 1989. This is just common sense, folks. You don't have to be a Psychology Today nerd. Hi, how you doing? To be able to understand that. Think about it. If you're an individual who goes through the type of horrific tortures at the JRC, do you think once you are free of threat that your behaviors are going to get better or worse? In particular, since the whole cause behind the behavior is completely and utterly ignored, never addressed. Self-explanatory, isn't it? Let's move on, shall we? The environment where punishment occurs becomes punishing in and of itself. Thus, school becomes a place of punishment, not an environment for learning, growth, and nurturance. I read this previously, but I'm reading it again to get the point across. When a person associates school with punishment, when they associate learning in books and all the things we want people to engage in with punishment and torture, do you think this creates within the child a sense of wonder, of intellectual curiosity? No, it does the exact opposite. The exact opposite. Should go without saying, right? Further, the people who implement the punishment become conditioned punishers themselves, eliciting the same reactions as does the actual punishment. Thus, teachers and staff represent punishment, not education, which means if a person represents punishment, you're going to fear them, not listen to them. Hear me on this. When a person represents punishment, when they become your embodiment of fear, that triggers a response, and it's not a good one, and it's certainly not conducive to learning. Although punishment does seem to do the job, the problems and emotional suffering that result later take great amounts of effort and money to resolve, and these side effects must be counted as costs. Thank you! If a kid is crying and you smack them in the face, they may stop out of sheer shock. The ramifications of doing such an action, however, is going to cause issues later on. Most of us who've been through abuse have acted out at some point, which is very, very detrimental to self. Alcoholism. Hi, how you doing? 3 years sober. Drugs of various kinds, depending on your personality and just how you're trying to escape from the ghosts of the demons of your past. And then you have to deal with the doctor bills, the now issues you did not formerly have with your body that were caused by said self-medication, to go along on top of that. It's not cheap, folks. It's really not cheap. Let's move on, shall we? Sorry. A major outcome of this change in focus implied behavior analysis is that the intervention for the disruptive behavior of one student might look completely different than the intervention developed for the topographically similar disruptive behavior of another student. You would think, right? Because we're not all the same. So even though a behavior may be similar, what's causing it is not, because we're individuals, not clones. Should go without saying. Further, this means that without information related to the environmental etiology of the behavior, an effective strategy is not likely to be developed, because we're all different. Same behavior can have a million different reasons and triggering issues behind it. If you don't know what those are, you cannot effectively be able to treat the behavior that comes from it. Just saying. Root cause. Root cause. Root cause. Now, some behaviors that we have don't necessarily have any rhyme or reason. They're just inherent, such as stimming. I can stim when I'm mad. I can stim when I'm depressed. I can stim when I'm incredibly happy and at peace for once in my life. And that is a very few precious moments of time. Such as, in my form of masking, I learned to do this as a stim, because no one's going to bitch at me for twisting a hair tie around my hands, as opposed to the annoying leg shaking that I used to do that would drive my mom bonkers. Anyways, moving on, shall we? Positive behavioral support is a comprehensive, empirically derived behavioral technology with an emphasis on understanding the problem behavior and building skills and capacity in the individual to more meaningfully and competently participate in inclusive, natural, community-based settings. This is true. It has its issues. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that modern ABA is wonderful, because it's not. It's still based on the system that forces us to mask. However, the difference between this and what the Judge Rotenberg Center does is literally night and day, folks. Night and day. Let's move on, shall we? The use of positive behavioral supports has been articulated in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA Amendments of 1997. The IDEA states that the functional behavioral assessment and positive behavior support should be considered when behavior support is developed for children with disabilities. In effect, these amendments codify positive behavior support as an expected standard within the field of special education, and most definitely with behavior support provided for students with severe disabilities. Horner, Albin, Sprague, Todd, 2000. The following sections provide an overview of two important components of this technology and discuss X's program within the context of these components, which we'll move to that in the next video. But this is self-explanatory, isn't it? Now, positive behavioral reinforcement, when used within the confines of ABA, has a myriad of its own issues. I'm not going to sit there, lie to you, and tell you anything different. However, that being said, they are at this point, and have been, like I've stated before, and you all now can see why, Aversives gone the way of the dodo in every single other state. In every single other program but the JRC. They went the way of the dodo for a reason, which she articulates very well here. Fear is not conducive to learning. It may stop a behavior, but it's not going to make me pay more attention to my teachers because I'm going to be too busy living in fear to be able to listen to what they have to say. Aversives like this make us see school and learning as a punishment, not as something that is desirable. And that's just on the lighter side of it. We're going to go ahead and close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon. And folks, as always, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.